Hey, speak for yourself, listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Pinky in the building, Marcelo Smiley. Say that again. Say it one more time.
My bad.
I'm playing your Acho in the building. What's up, brother?
My guy, you look good in that pink.
No, I don't. I'm swimming in it one. This thing looking like a starburst. I see you. Oh, man, he on my head. Let's get it started with the Steelers. Ooh, the Bengals were on their head last night. The Bengals came back into last night's game with only 2 wins, but they shocked the world, especially the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh couldn't get anything going on offense and were down 17-0 at the half. The Steelers have now lost 3 straight after starting off a perfect 11-0. After the game, Mike Tomlin said, quote, "We're not a good football group right now." You know he did. So, Acho, is it panic time for the Steelers?
Yes, and yes.
Oh, you're bad.
Big dog, you know it's been panic time for these Steelers.
Really?
Yes.
That's the word. Okay.
But think about this for a second. You knew. And if you didn't know, you was in denial. When you was watching the Steelers rack up these W's, you were thinking to yourself like, oh, they winning, but they just don't look that good. Like, I was looking at Ben Roethlisberger like, y'all winning, but some about these wins just don't sit right with your boy. And then they caught 1 L, and I was like, yeah, I didn't think so, but maybe it's a fluke. But then they caught another L to the Bills, and I was like, yeah, but the Bills are... But then, Marcellus, when they went out and caught that last L yesterday against these Bengals, I was like, nah, it's panic time.
Panic time?
It's panic time for a couple reasons. They don't have a number 1 receiver. They got a bunch of, like, really good number 3 receivers. No. Technically, like, a number 2 receiver in Chase Claypool. But, like, they don't have a number 1 receiver. Let's make no mistake about it. I'm going to give it to you like this, because you're looking at me kind of funky. I had to look at myself kind of funky until I looked at the numbers. Sir, the receiver who leads their team in targets, Deontay Johnson.
Yes.
He doesn't lead the team in catches. Well, make that make sense. 126 targets for 77 catches. But he does lead the league in drops.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Then you talk about their 3rd leading receiver is actually their best receiver in Chase Claypool. So I'm like, I'm confused. Then Juju Smith leads the team in catches but doesn't lead the team in targets. It's a whole weird, convoluted complex offensively. Then... Marcellus, this is when I was really confused.
I'm hearing you.
They are number 1 in pass attempts, but number 17 in the NFL in yards. Number 1 in pass attempts, but number 17 in yards. If you're number 1 in pass attempts, you should be around the number 1 in yards, at least top 10. But you're 17, so I'll do it like this. And it's funny because I'm coming into work. It's actually the opposite of how you look on set today. But remember back when gyms were open?
Oh.
And you would go into the gym, and there was this one dude in a Nike dry fit. Them super small dry fits.
He ain't doing nothing.
But it was still loose on him. Huh?
Yeah.
How you in a Nike dry fit, an outfit that's made to be tight, like you supposed to feel swole. You supposed to feel jacked. But it's this one dude, and he's usually wearing glasses, and he's wearing like K-Swiss, and he's in a Nike dry fit, and it's still loose. And the Steelers offense reminds me of that. Why? Because the one thing in which like you're supposed to do and you think you're doing well, you're actually doing poorly. How you in a tight fit shirt, but it still look baggy? How you lead the league in pass attempts, but are actually in 17th in yardage? The one thing who you think you are, you actually aren't at all. And that's why it's panic time for the Steelers.
No, it's not panic time for the Steelers right now. And one, I don't even want to go into that intermediate emotion. And that's what I always call it. From a youngster, I used to always look at people who were panicking, stressed out, worried. As someone who was trying to show concern for what they were stressing over, as a production for others, more so than just really a fix to the situation. When you have an equation you can't solve, yelling at the sky, panicking, worrying, does nothing to solve that equation, right? You got to get back to work. Grab the pencil, grab the pen, look at the numbers once again, and start to go to work. Look at the Steelers in terms of their rankings defensively. You tell me this team needs to panic when you have the second-ranked defense and second-ranked scoring defense, basically one of the top defenses in the league if you look at all statistical categories. Most sacks. Why would you panic? What you need to do is understand what's happening. They went into this game and they tried to experiment. Little backstory. Okay, they had 3 games in 12 days? They had to go out there and play Baltimore, Washington, and Buffalo in 3 games. The first 2 losses happened in that 3-game stretch. All right, so you're sitting there panicking. Well, you're on the cusp of panicking right now.
Yes, sir.
When you shouldn't be, because this was a team that had to do a lot with so little time, and they got fatigued. What happens? But then they go into the Cincinnati Bengal game, and I think, looking at the numbers as you did, we don't really have a clear number one. Deontay has the talent and the route running ability, but dude keeps dropping the ball. No hands. Chase Claypool looks like the guy, is the guy, but is not necessarily showing it fully in production, even though the talent, you can see it. So what they do in this game, you know what they do? They start to go deep with the football, intermediate with the football, instead of what's been most successful for them this year, dinking and dunking, explaining your numbers, and just throwing it fast. Ben Roethlisberger is at his best right now, at this point in his career, when the ball snap, I mean, just long handoffs. Do not go back to old Big Ben. You certainly can't run around the same, and you can't throw the deep ball, intermediate ball, just the same. Last night we saw it, 0 for 7 in passes of 10 air yards or more in the first half. That's why they were so bad. And then you saw the 3 turnovers that turned into 17 points for Cincinnati. You find yourself in a hole. What I saw yesterday was a team that was fatigued from that 3-game stretch and then try to walk into a game they thought that they could mail in and play around with their formula. Fix the equation, but don't stress out for production and panic in this moment.
Big Dog, where did you say the Steelers ranked on defense? Second in the league, and that's total defense, whatever the case may be. So they're second in the league in defense. That typically would mean a lot to me, and you, as a defender.
Yeah, it should.
It should.
It should.
Except when I tell you what they've been doing on offense.
Don't do that.
December.
I'm good.
What's up with this full screen, this ice cold full screen?
Ice cold.
Now, we're talking about the most games scoring fewer than 20 points since December. That's this last month of ball. Steelers done it 4 times. Then you see the Giants, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Falcons, the Jaguars, and the Patriots. Mind you, all of these offenses I've listed are laughable. And the Giants offense, although their starter is my dog, he is their backup. He's just been starting for Daniel Jones. So the Steelers have the most 20-point or fewer games since December. And the next team closest to them is the Giants with the backup quarterback. Keep this full screen up, please. Oh, no, I need to see it. Because the Bengals, they got a backup quarterback. The Falcons, they don't have a coach. The Jaguars, they've been fluctuating within a quarterback. And the Patriots, Bill Belichick talking about benching their quarterback. So actually, as I'm looking at that, I'm just now processing this information, which is why I want to keep looking at it. But Marcellus,
yes, sir.
The Steelers 4 times under 20 points in December, and the rest of this list, 4 of these teams is playing with backup quarterbacks. 1 team is playing without a head coach, and the other team is playing with Cam Newton. You decipher for that and what you think of him as a quarterback now. I'll get into that later in the show.
No shots. Too early.
No shots. No shots. This ain't Compton. No shots. But all I'm going to say is...
It's way safer now, dog. I'm just letting you know. Get that out there.
All I'm going to say is this, Big Dog. I love that you're bringing up the defense. As a former linebacker, I love defense. As a former defensive end, I would assume you do the same. But where the Steelers rank defensively, it's actually irrelevant because their offense is so atrocious. And before I hand you this ball off like Ben Roethlisberger needs to start doing, I'm going to say this. I just showed you 20-point or fewer games. Talk about the AFC and where teams rank. Let's go through the AFC right now. You got the Chiefs. They've scored 40 points this season. Bills, they've scored 40 points this season. Dolphins, they've scored 40 points this season. Titans, they've scored 40 points this season. Colts, they've scored 40 points this season.
It's coming.
Browns, they've scored 40 points this season. Ravens, they've scored 40 points this season. Raiders, they've scored 40 points this season. But the Steelers, how they the one team in the playoffs and the playoff hunt that ain't scored 40 points all season long? Defense is cool, Big Dog, but offense got to show up.
Yeah, we always talk about how a greater defense is a better offense
Facts.
in terms of.
Yes, sir.
It's just tough. I've been on a number one defense before, and you go out there and you would applaud if you held a team to 3 or 7 to 14. Anything under 20, we like, all right, we did that. But if you go out there and you can't score 20 yourself, let alone have that high firepower, like you just mentioned, you got a problem. This is why you don't panic, Acho. I know in TV, you've been educating me about the beats of television. Come out fast with your best stuff and hit them hard. I'm a radio dude at heart, and I'm a forever talker. Like, you know me, I always talking. You always on your phone. I'm always talking. And I like to just let it build.
Okay.
I let this one build on y'all. You thought, like, all right, me and Marcel's just out here jabbing. Nah, I'm about to come with some haymakers now. Okay, I'm going to list, and really I'm not going to give you the full list. It gets boring on television. I've learned that from you. The Super Bowl teams that lost 3 or more of their final 5 games. I'll say it again. A bad streak at the end of their season. Baltimore Ravens were 1-4 in their last 5 games before they won the Super Bowl.
2012?
In 2012. Yes. Okay. So right now, you know what pundits like you were saying? Oh, the Baltimore Ravens, oh, damn it, it's time to panic. Until they won the Super Bowl that year. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints, 2009. They were 2-3 in their last 5. They won the Super Bowl that year. But that's not enough. I can still talk about those New Orleans Saints, but we can go back and look at other teams, the Colts, that they faced in that same Super Bowl. 2 games lost right before they entered the playoffs. The point is, you want to go into the playoffs hot.
Of course.
Duh. But it's not a deal breaker if you don't go into the playoffs hot. This is a team that won 11 games in a row. Would have been better off for narrative purposes, it seems like right now, if you're 1-3, lost 1. 1-3, lost 1. Win 3, lose 1. Then people were like, oh, okay, we're fine with that. You know, that adds up to close to this record. But when you go all the way and show people that you're perfect in record, even though we know quietly they're not a perfect team in performance, it leads people in a different direction. I don't think there's panic time in Pittsburgh. I think Ben Roethlisberger simply needs to get back to his old formula of the beginning of the season, dinking and dunking. Defense continue to play the way you're playing. And history shows, even if you're stumbling into the playoffs, there still may be some pay dirt in front of you.
Sal, you've been so kind this show that I didn't really want to attack you.
Oh.
Like, I've been attacking. I've only been making my points and not necessarily defeating your points. But, sir, I just can't come up here as we're approaching a new year and New Year's resolutions. I can't have you lying to me and the rest of the world as we start to get closer to this new year. Because you got to change your ways. So, you can't give me stats without referencing said selection bias. You talked about, okay, well, what about these teams at the end of the year that go into the playoffs struggling? I just looked up the first one you said, the 2012 Ravens. Tyrod Taylor played the most of that game instead of Joe Flacco.
What
you
game?
can't talk the last game of the season.
But I said they were
lost against the Bengals.
1-4.
Yes, but when you bring up that stat,
He
you
ain't
have,
play
to
all them
remember,
games.
you have to remember some teams already got it locked up. So they're sitting.
No one has it locked up with 5 games remaining, though.
Sure, but the last couple games.
I'm not talking about that. But my stat was 1-4. You're not going to address the other 4 games, and you can't. My stat was 2-3. I understand. That's why I did it that way. Man, Acho, we the same dude. I'm at home prepping. I'm on my Peloton trying to get this going with my loose dry fit on, right? I'm that guy. And then guess what? I was like, teams that had lost their last game, I was like, nah, they sat their starters. Last 2 games, nah, they could have sat their starters. Give me the last 5. Bingo. And I got a list. I don't want to bore you. You want to go back to 1980 with the Philadelphia Eagles when they did it and they were 2-3? I'm not going to do that. Fair. So the point is, don't push back on me.
Okay,
like
that's fair. That's fair. Now, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Is the suit so loose because of the Pelotons?
It's working, man. I got a new formula right now. Either I was hella fat then or I'm getting skinny right now. Which one? Tell me.
No, I just wanted to applaud you before I get back on track.
Okay.
The only other thing I will say to end my point and to end this whole conversation is simple. This isn't a recent Steelers issue. It's not like the Steelers offense had one bad game against the Bengals and, oh, my God, sky's falling. Offense had one bad game. This has been going on for a while. The steel has been broken, if you will, for a while. And I have the facts and the evidence to prove it. The most games all season with less than 400 yards. The most games all season with less than 400 yards. Once again, Jets lead the list. Then you got the Giants, 2 atrocious offenses. But then you see the Steelers. Then you see the Bengals, the Bears, Washington. Now, again, The Giants, they've played with the backup quarterback a few games. The Jets, they've played with the backup quarterback in Joe Flacco a few games. The Bears, they've had quarterback controversy a few games. The Bengals, they lost their #1 overall pick a few weeks ago. And Washington has played with 3 different quarterbacks for a few games. So now the Steelers are the only team on this list that has not only had a future Hall of Fame quarterback, but had quarterback continuity all season long, and they have 13 games with under 400 yards this season. So I'm not going to come up here and act like this is overreaction Tuesday. This isn't an overreaction. This is the Steelers' body of work.
Oh, okay. Looking at their body of work, all I have to say in totality, my summation is this. They were never as good as their record suggested, and they're not as bad as the narrative of panicking right now in this moment would suggest.
I'll give you that.
They're somewhere in between.
I'll give you that.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we're not done with those Steelers. We'll tell you if we're worried about Big Ben after last night's loss. But first, the Packers are at the top in the NFC right now. But we'll tell you which team is actually the best in the conference. That's next. Speak for yourself.
You know what I'm saying?
What's up, Speak for Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about the NFC. The Packers are on top right now at 11-3. They won their 4th straight after taking care of the Panthers last week. The Saints are the #2 seed and have now lost back-to-back games after dropping a close one to the Chiefs in Drew Brees' return. So, Marcellus, the NFC got some dogs up the top. But who is the best team in the NFC?
Oh, man. Being real, I was on the fence with this morning on that Peloton once again, sweating it off in my dry loose. It's a toss-up between Green Bay and Tampa. I don't want to hear about New Orleans. I don't want to hear about Seattle, even though they're all kind of on the same tier. But I'm going to narrow it down to those two. And it's a toss-up, and I'm going to go to the tiebreaker, which is the head-to-head matchup. Ding, ding, ding. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me tell you the formula for success for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. See, Tom Brady's in the building, so all attention, all eyes on Tom Brady, the GOAT. Here's the problem with Tom Brady, the GOAT, being in this situation. It's about the defense, really. It's about them playing complementary football, Acho, when you talk about Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks. When you have the best rush defense in football, 3rd most sacks in your conference, most interceptions in your conference, blah, 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 all on defense. But you know what the key stat is? They're unbeaten when they score 25 points or more in a game this year. 9-0. You know why I love that, Acho? I'll tell you why I love that. Because with that defense and them offensively, especially Tom Brady, learning the system as they go on. Remember, compromised offseason. No preseason and no offseason, virtual. Once they get all of the little details, the nuances done offensively, they have the defense that they need to go out there and do it. And if you want to sneeze at the offense, that is 6th in passing offense, 7th in scoring offense. You know what? This is a team that is becoming what they can be, which is a Super Bowl winner, if not contender at least, in the postseason. Tom Brady's built to always do everything for postseason activity. You, Acho, want to go out there with your BCS mindset and win every game by complexion and win every game by score differential and win every game and make sure you blow out opponents so it looks good for voters. Well, that's not how the NFL works. Tom Brady is sitting there learning an offense while this defense is putting up enough good performances where all of a sudden it's going to blend. For Voltron in the playoffs in the shape of a Lombardi trophy.
I'm so flabbergasted, appalled, shocked, stunned by how bad of a take that was.
Because I'm starting with Tampa?
Yes. like, had you said Green Bay, I could have took
Why they played each other? Why would you do that? That's a horrible take. You got eye boogers because of that.
No, my eyes watering because I'm crying at how bad that take was.
Sal, what happened?
What happened last? Did you no rest last night.
You see I'm over here sweating. There's a lot going on in the Wiley house.
Let me lock in.
Don't say Green Bay, dog. We're going to fight.
I'm going to get to Green Bay later.
Okay.
First off, let me dismantle your terrible Bucks take. Marcellus, I came on this show. My first day was, I want to say, June 18th. Was the first day I joined Speak for Yourself. I was privileged to be here. I was honored to be here. I listened to every word carefully because I was like, I'm new to this show. And I remember on June 18th of 2020, my first day on the show, you said this Bucks offense, when they figure everything out, they're going to be on fire.
Yeah.
A month later, July, you said this Bucks offense, when they figure everything out.
How many games they played between then?
None.
Okay, well, keep talking.
A month later, you said, oh, this Bucks offense. A month later, you said, oh, this Bucks offense.
I like that.
A month later, you said, oh, this Bucks offense.
You got to run it back if it's a good take.
A month later, you said, oh, this Bucks offense. It's December.
Dog.
We got to be in 2021. And you still telling me when this Bucks offense figures it out. Sal, that's like the dude, and I'm not going to say his shoe because you was on the Peloton, but that's like that person that's like, oh, I'm going to get in shape next year.
I'm looking at him.
I'm going to get in shape next
right
year.
Here.
How long ago you retired? How long you been trying to get in shape?
13 years.
Get in shape already?
It ain't happening.
If this Bucks offense don't start clicking already,
that fool be calling me, dog. He be calling me.
I'm not going to let you off the hook in life, and I'm not going to let you take off the hook, Sal. I'm not going to keep waiting for this Bucks offense to get right. Because the playoffs is here in 3 weeks. That's why. Because the Bucks got to go to Seattle as it stands right now in 3 weeks.
What does that matter?
That's why.
Why does that matter?
I'm not going to wait for them to get right. Let me talk about the Packers. Let me talk about Let me talk about the team that actually makes sense in this conversation.
The team that lost to Tampa Bay.
Let me talk about
that team. No, please say that.
Let me talk about the team that makes sense in this conversation. The Packers are the only team that can compete with the Saints. The Saints are the best team in the NFC. They're the best team in the NFC. The Packers can't compete. Let me tell you how. The Saints currently still have the third best defense in the National Football League. Third best defense in the National Football League. Saints, again, are still the team that is injury-proof. We talk about, the Saints have lost 2 games in a row. They lost injury-proof. Why? You got a quarterback. If he gets hurt, Drew Brees, you can still run Taysom Hill in, and you can win competently with Taysom Hill.
Oh, Philly?
You got a starting receiver, Michael Thomas, who he gets hurt, and you can still win competently without Michael Thomas.
Did they
you
win
have a starting running back, Alvin Kamara. You've seen him be banged up, and you can still win without Kamara. Did they win last week? Great. In a Super Bowl preview, against the Kansas City Chiefs.
How dare you?
You lost 32-29 in Brees' first game back without Michael Thomas. Marcellus, I don't even have to argue with you much. But to say, without Michael Thomas and an injured Drew Brees, the New Orleans Saints lost to Kansas City by 3. Mind you, the Chiefs' defense gives up 22 points a game. The Saints went out there and scored 29. Now, if you want to make an argument for the Packers, I would understand that argument. Since you won't make it because you didn't have the sense to make it, let's bring in somebody who might. As a former Packer and Fox NFL analyst, Greg Jennings. So, Greg, I won't even call you a homer. I will call you a man that's intelligent if you say the Packers. But I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You look fresh today. I'm glad you came prepared for the show. Who's the best team in the NFC, G? Talk to me.
It's clearly the Green Bay Packers. And the reason why is simple. It's because they have the best quarterback in the NFC. They have the best quarterback in all of football, arguably, this year. He is the one that's in contention for MVP. So when you look at that, and yes, Marcellus, did they lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Yes, they did. Where did they play that game? Oh, it was in Tampa Bay. It was in Tampa Bay. So if they were to win, if Tampa Bay were to face them in the playoffs, where would they have to play that game? In Lambeau.
And nobody there.
Exactly. But let me put a couple more stats in your lap, okay?
Put them in the
So Tom Brady, he's been to so many Super Bowls. He's won so many Super Bowls, 6 to be exact. How many Super Bowls has he won when he didn't have the first round bye?
Talk about it.
0.
It's 0.
How many Super Bowls did he even get to when he did not have the first round bye?
Talk about it, G.
0.
It's 0.
So the recipe to his success is based on his success in the regular season and accomplishing what he needs, which is the first round bye. And that is something he does not have. I love Tom Brady. I love what he's been able to do at times, but it has not been good enough. And it will not be good enough when you allow a team like the Green Bay Packers to just come out in their home field, in their surroundings. They run the ball well. They don't turn the ball over. And if
Oh, my dog. My dog
bad takes.
I gotta say, no.
Technology hates bad takes.
Greg's take was so good.
It was so bad.
It was so good.
So bad.
Siri popped up on Marcellus's phone and said this. Can you say it again, please? Like, I don't know if y'all heard it through the mic. Greg's take was so on point that Siri came out of nowhere on cell phone and said, can you say it again, please, Greg? I said, Siri talking now? What's up with a good take? What's up, Marcellus? Rebuttal, please.
Did you hear what she said after that?
What'd she say?
She said, Greg, that's some bullshit. She really said, Greg, that's some bullshit. I was like, Siri, come on, there are kids around somewhere. All right, here's the thing. I wanted to push back on Greg and ask him how many times has Aaron Rodgers ever had home field advantage in the playoffs, certainly the NFC Championship game? None. Oh, none. So how we know how he's going to perform at home with no fans there? Like, y'all are literally giving me facts and history and saying you can't make history. It's fine to say that these facts are there in pencil, but to say that they're in pen, Tom Brady's never won a Super Bowl when he didn't have a home bye, well, it's time to make history. If you're Tom Brady, I'm the GOAT. If anybody's going to make history, it will be him. You got to understand the conundrum of this conversation. Green Bay lost to Tampa. Tampa lost to the Saints twice, and the Saints lost to Green Bay. So for us to come up here and start sweating over our arguments, I think that is the wrong way to place it because all these teams can beat each other. I'm just pushing back on you guys because the Saints are fully formed. They have continuity because they have the same coaching staff, same quarterback, same system, everything. Then we look at Green Bay. They have continuity. They did this last year, 13-3, better record. How'd that turn out? Got smoked, got laughed off the field up there in San Francisco. And now we're talking about Tampa Bay. That's not fully formed. That's all I'm talking about. You look at me, Acho, I'm 6'4".
I hate you.
I'm 6'4" and something. I'm 2 something.
At least it's a 2 something.
No, I'm 273 right now. Yeah. But last week I was 283. All right, so I'm losing a little weight. So here's the thing. But I was a late bloomer. And people laughed at me, especially Keisha Ziegler, Myra McCaskill, Camille Ellison. I heard
He's still feeling it, y'all.
In the ninth grade, they were looking at me, Dusty, get away from me, Dusty. But then my draft party, Marcellus, congratulations. The point is, this is an offense. This is a team that is going to be late bloomers because they're new to this party. But trust me, they're going to get the last laugh.
Here's what I don't like, Sel, because every now and then you try to stunt on me and give me a word that you don't know that I can understand, like conundrum. Spell conundrum.
Conundrum. Conundrum. Hey, I got second in the spelling bee. Second.
Okay, I give you that one. I give you that take then. I give you that take. You won that round.
Cool.
Here's how I'm going to come out like this one.
What's up?
The Saints do not have a weak link. And that, to me, is why they're better than both the Buccaneers and also, to me, why they're better than the Packers. They don't have a weak link. Great running game, Alvin Kamara. Great quarterback, Hall of Famer Drew Brees, 70% completion percentage. Star wide receiver, Michael Thomas. Elite pass rusher, guy who can get after the quarterback, Cameron Jordan. Phenomenal linebacker, DeMario Davis.
Yes.
Lockdown cornerback, Marshawn Lattimore. Veteran safety, Malcolm Jenkins. Again, I don't have the full screen right now to back this up, but I just told y'all at each and every position, the Saints have a dog. And at head coach, Sean Payton, Super Bowl winner. Now, you can go to the Buccaneers and you can say Tom Brady. You can say Mike Evans. If you want, you can say Ronald Jones. But I'm going to put a couple question marks at veteran defensive back / safety, and I'm going to really put a question mark at head coach, Bruce Arians. You can go to the Packers. You can say Aaron Rodgers. You can say running back Aaron Jones. You can say star receiver Devontae Adams. Woo. You can name a couple DBs because I like some of them young DBs, especially Savage. But then when you go to the linebackers, I'm like, somebody got to do something about that position.
Chill.
The Saints do not have a void at any pivotal position. And when you come to the playoffs, you never know. Some team's going to try to take away your dominant hand. Oh, take away the pass game. Take away Michael Thomas. Kamara. Take away Kamara. Michael Thomas. Take away Drew Brees. Taysom Hill. You just never know what a team's going to eliminate. And when I look at the New Orleans Saints, I see they got everything you need.
I'll give you that. You're supposed to take us to break. I don't know why you paused it.
Coming, I was waiting for Greg to come back, but you never
Greg
know.
gone.
Coming up,
Siri
Cam
killed
Newton
him.
says he has a lot of football left, but I'll tell you why the Patriots, they should not want my dog Cam back next season. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Christmas Day, an NFL special as the Vikings take on the Saints. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern on Fox. Also available on NFL Network and streaming on Prime Video. Let's head to the AFC, where the Patriots will not be in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. Cam Newton has struggled with more interceptions than touchdown passes while playing on a one-year deal. Yesterday, he said, quote, "I'm still on a job interview, to be honest with you." Then added that he has a lot of football left. But when our own Jay Glazer was asked who will be the Patriots' next quarterback, he said, quote, "It's not going to be Cam Newton." Ooh, gotcha. Should the Patriots want Cam back next season?
So, let me start like this. Cam Newton, I loved his resiliency. I loved his attitude. I love his swagger. I love his style.
It's coming.
I love all these things about Cam Newton. Cam, if you're watching this, phenomenal human being. I love all that.
Duck Cam.
But Sal,
here come the shots.
I don't even want to dignify this question with a response.
That's what we're going to do?
I don't.
You told me in TV we give hot takes.
I don't even want to dignify this question. Should the Patriots want Cam Newton back? I don't want to dignify it with a response. Marcellus, how? Why? I was preparing for this, and I was talking to my producer, and I was like, I don't even want to respond to this. It's such a terrible question. I don't even want to. It's like, Marcellus, fire needs oxygen to continue burning. Ooh. I don't want to give this question any more oxygen. But they cut me a check.
They cut it.
So here I am.
Let's go.
The Patriots should not want Cam Newton back this season. Marcellus, you think they should want the 8 games with 0 passing touchdowns back this season? Should you want the 3 multiple interception games back for next season? Do you want the 6 games with an interception back? Do you want the 9 games where he passed for under 175 yards back this season? Like, Marcellus, as I look at this, what about this do you want back? It's kind of like when we go into 2021, I don't want to see no more TikTok dances.
I don't want to see it now.
Like, thank you.
Yesterday, I didn't want to see it.
That's how I feel about Cam Newton.
Oh, wow. He's TikTokish?
I don't want to see it now. What? I don't want to see it next year. And based upon his play, not the person, based on his play, I haven't really wanted to see it as of late. And all I'm going to say is this. Please don't bring up his completion percentage. Whatever you do during your next 2 minutes of a take, say anything but his 65% completion percentage.
Oh, it's coming.
Because I don't want to see that either.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I'm going to do this in 3 laps.
Please.
I've never run a mile in my life. So 3 laps, coach. That 4th lap, you give it to me. Damn it. Okay. Here we go. Yes, they should want Cam Newton back. And yes, Cam Newton should want to be back to get that continuity, to get this flow, and to get into flow. 3 major question marks for Cam Newton to come into this season. I wish people had the ability, like I do, to reset what your expectations are and reset the calendar. Go back to June 28th when there was talk of Cam Newton and early July when he was signed. The Patriots were trash, hot garbage. And then Cam Newton came, and before they even played a preseason game, they didn't have any, or any regular season games, we were like, I don't know. Is that going to work? What's going to happen? Cam, does he fit with Bill Belichick? Do they mesh well? Even Cam Newton spoke of that. But here are the 3 question marks for Cam Newton. Durability, accuracy, leadership. Let's talk about durability. Was he durable this year?
Yes, sir.
Yes, he was. You talk about the shoulder this year? Me either. You talk about the foot this year?
Yes, sir.
Me either. All we talked about was COVID. All right. Put that to the side. Accuracy. Go ahead. Fill it out. You know the completion percentage, 2nd best in his career this year with the New England Patriots. Now let's talk about leadership and how there are glowing remarks every single week about Cam Newton and his leadership. To the tune of, he was a captain, voted a captain, not even on the team in June. July, you're on the team. You're a captain in August. Cam Newton has been a leader. When you check those 3 boxes,
And then you look at Cam Newton's performances, which I'll get into my next lap. Obviously, you want this guy because you sat there and said, the only issues people have with him, why he wasn't signed early in the offseason outside of COVID reasons, was the fact that people had those same question marks about Cam Newton that this season answered. So there will be a market for him out there, but he needs to stay still and have some continuity with the Patriots. But let me bring somebody in to settle the score. Greg paid his Wi-Fi bill, so let's bring him back. Greg spent all that money on that damn outfit, didn't have no money for the Wi-Fi. But should the Patriots want Cam back next season?
No. And again, it's tough because we do this all the time when we talk about Cam. Everybody wants to talk positive, and the reality is no, man. The Patriots shouldn't want Cam. Look at what you're trying to sell us on, Marcellus. The leadership, the continuity. Give us time. What else? What more time can you have when the season is in front of us? When you know, and I loved how he messaged the fans. I thought that was great. I thought he got out in front of everything. However, it's all for naught. What do you mean? We're bought in. We're committed. What about this season? You knew the standard coming into this season. You knew the bar. You knew the expectations, and you didn't meet them. And so when you talk about quarterbacks and putting them in front of teams that are trying to stop them, their job is to score points. This Patriots offense with Cam under center does not score points. I don't care how much leadership you have. You can take me to the sideline and tell me why we haven't gotten it done. But if you're a part of the reason, then miss me on all of that. And I get it. Cam is great as far as leadership this year, but that leadership hasn't led to any type of wins that would have allowed them to enter into the playoffs. And then we would have a different conversation. But until all of that, you got to throw the stats where they are. And he's less than 10 touchdown passes. Like I can't win with that. I get it. Leadership is great. We got other leaders on this team. We've always had other leaders on this team, which is why the culture has been established of a winning one. But with your leadership, it's great, but we need your production to go and match where your leadership is. That hasn't been the case.
He said it all. Marcellus, Malcolm Jenkins came on the show last week, Pro Bowl, All-Pro safety, and he said in the NFL, there are several things that you need. You need availability. You need accountability. He left off one thing, though, but he didn't really have to say it because there's a word that lies within both availability and accountability, and it is very simple: ability. So Cam Newton had availability all season long, and I respected Cam Newton's ability. Yes, please have that. To a degree, Cam Newton was accountable. He showed up. He was there. I respected his accountability. He had that. But Sal, sometimes you can simplify things in life, sir, and you can take off account, and you can take off avail, and you can get to ability. And when it talked about ability to play the quarterback position this year, Cam Newton did not do that well. Now, if you want to bring Cam Newton back in a wildcat quarterback role, that is fine. and we laugh at it, but think about it, Sal. What did Cam Newton do better than just about any quarterback this season? Run the ball in the red zone. So please bring me the benefits of Cam Newton without the negative aspects of Cam Newton. Cam Newton, 32nd in the NFL in red zone completion percentage. 32nd. That is last for those at home keeping track. 32nd in completion percentage in the red zone. I don't want Cam throwing the ball. I want Cam running the ball. Cam, come on back here and do your thing, run the ball. But please, for the love of God, do not throw the ball. I'm gonna have my passing quarterback come in and throw. Cam, you can come in and be the wildcat guy. But Sal, you really have no argument.
Oh, I got a great argument.
Outside of saying Cam should come back and be a runner.
Oh, I got a tremendous argument, and I'm going to tickle your fancy in this argument right here. Acho, you were an All-Pro one year, correct? Put you back on there. Special teams. Yes, what ranked you as an All-Pro? What publication? What site? Let's hear it. Let's just please.
Pro Football Focus.
Pro Football Focus? Yes, my favorite site. But yours? Oh, you were an All-Pro. So let's not discredit Pro Football Focus when you start to hear what I'm about to say, because
it also propped you up as an all-pro.
So
and it was accurate.
I'm an all-pro now
Yeah,
in your
you're an
mind.
all-pro.
Hey, let's cut this, please.
Special teams.
I'm going to replay this a couple times.
Nobody want to play special teams. Nobody ever started one to play.
Oh, sorry, y'all can hear that? Okay, here's the thing. Yeah, he's an all-pro. I respect that. 2 all-pros up here. What a coincidence. Here's the thing. Cam has only one wide receiver that Pro Football Focus rates in the top 60 in the league, and that's Jacoby and Myers, the law firm. Okay, let's keep talking about this with a Pro Football Focus all-pro theme. Cam Newton was ranked by Pro Football Focus as having a better season right now than Big Ben Roethlisberger, Jimmy G, Teddy Bridgewater, Tua, Carson Wentz, didn't have to even look deep for that one, and Mitch Trubisky, who everyone is raving over once again. Okay, that's not my argument. That's just a little seasoning to the meat that I'm about to give you guys. Meat and potatoes I'm about to give you guys. Let me clear that one up. Here's the thing. This New England team didn't have the horses. I'll tell you, you are stupid. This New England team didn't have the horses. So Cam Newton joins a team that he's hyped up, he's happy, he's competitive, he's motivated, fully prepared. But that horse is still going to lose to a horse that's just faster than him. I don't give a damn how much between the ears Cam Newton tried to make up in moxie and spread and make it infectious in his locker room. You can't beat a better horse. And there are teams out there way better than the New England Patriots. I keep telling you, go back to the summer what you thought of the Patriots. But that's not going to be the case going forward. New England has over $60 million in cap space going forward. This year, even Bill Belichick, Acho kept saying he had excuses, but Bill Belichick kept saying, hey, man, we can't do much this year, and these results prove it. But let's talk about Cam Newton and what's really happening in New England. I'm such a nerd that I listen to Bill Belichick's press conferences at length. And when I heard him talk about this team, you know what he said? It's not about one player. It's not about one person's performance. It's about everything. And he focused in on the rush defense. Acho, I asked you a question. I want to see your face. Haven't seen you in a while. What are the New England Patriots ranked in rush defense this year?
I guess 17th.
Oh, worse than that. 27th. 27th. Now, walk with me here, as you like to say, Acho. It's interesting that Cam Newton's top passing performances this year were basically losses. 6 out of 7 of Cam's top passing performances this year ended with an L. And the 7th one was to the Jets, a win by 3 points. Wait a minute. But what's happening with this team of late that had won 4 out of 5 games with those lowly passing performances? The rush defense. Did y'all watch them play against Miami? Did you guys watch them play against the Rams when they gave up 186 and 250 yards? Oh, both losses. So all of the attention is going to Cam Newton. Why y'all keep losing with Cam Newton out there with those pedestrian numbers? But the reality is this team is losing if you were to line up its rush defense performances and the results. Their 5 losses this year came from the 5 worst performances of this rush defense. In simple, in short, all I want to push back and say is, look at the defense up the middle, guys on the defensive line, linebackers, all the COVID opt-outs. All of that is a part of the issue with New England. I am going through this one. All of the issues with New England. But Cam Newton, being a superstar on the team, will take all of the criticism. What you got? I killed that one. That was a good take.
That was like a LeVar Arrington on vacation tape. I was one of those where I told you
what I said?
Like, hey, rap. Look,
I told no. All right. Let me clean it up because LeVar back. All right, 5 out of 7 wins when Cam. Listen to this. 5 out of the 7 wins comes when Cam throws 156 yards or fewer. Where they do that at? Obviously, there's something else going on in New England. Belichick knows. That's why he's not blaming Cam Newton.
Lies are complicated. The truth is...
Damn, you killed me with my
That
own.
was very complicated.
That was very complicated.
Greg, please fight back. But don't waste too much energy because...
I'm not going to waste too much. There's no need to waste energy. The facts are in front of us. Marcellus is just trying to avoid them. When Tom Brady was there last year and he was leading this team, they did make the playoffs. And the reasons why we felt like Tom Brady wasn't that successful is for all the reasons Marcellus is telling us. He didn't have the horses. He didn't have the support. He didn't have this. He didn't have that. However, he still found a way to get it done and get his team into the playoffs. and he threw more than 5 touchdown passes.
Chill, Greg.
Like, come on.
Come on.
Like, come on. You gotta throw the ball.
For real.
And I'm talking about if you want a stat, it's been since 25 years since a quarterback that has started 13 plus games in this league that has thrown 5 or fewer touchdowns. That it does not happen, Marcellus.
You about to make Greg upset.
Win.
Look at you, Sam.
You can't win.
I like him upset.
I like him. I love Cam. I want him to have another opportunity somewhere. I don't know where it happens when you lay out his statistical production because it's not quite productive enough.
G, let me do you like this, G. I looked at Cam again. I love Cam like you love Cam. Let's get this out the way. We love Cam.
Why y'all keep saying that? Because y'all don't really love him.
Look,
y'all love him.
Marcellus, quarterbacks that have 5 touchdowns and 10 interceptions and 11 rushing touchdowns on the year, you want to know what they become?
Broadcasters.
Tight ends.
Oh.
Like, when you see a quarterback with that stat line in college, they go to the league and become tight ends. So just be real, Sal. Like, I'm not going to get upset because my dog Greg's blood pressure is raising. And, you know, I'm getting older. I'm trying to keep my blood pressure down. So topics like these, I try not to take too seriously because you're talking all ignorantly. So I'm not going to get upset like G did. But all I'm going to say is this. Come on, Sal. Like, stop playing, man.
Hey, Greg just hot because he got that damn turtleneck on. And that turtleneck got him hot. But let me tell you, my take ain't doing nothing to Greg. Just talking some sense into Greg. And I know I got y'all on the ropes because y'all went to the cliche that broadcasters always use.
What?
It's broadcasters when they beg. Come on. Come on. When you ain't got nothing else to say, y'all start saying, come on. I ain't coming nowhere because I'm just going to keep spitting these facts. Cam Newton's the first quarterback in NFL history with 4+ games with multiple rushing touchdowns. Cam Newton is the only quarterback with 10+ rushing touchdowns in multiple seasons, now 3 seasons. And Cam Newton is tied for 3rd in the entire NFL with rushing touchdowns.
Can you pick me?
What you got?
Quick. Sir, you just gave me a quarterback, but all of his accolades were predicated upon rushing. Like, if that was a running back, I'd be like, Hercules. You gave me a quarterback. And all of his stats were predicated upon
Thank
rushing.
you.
That's all that got to be said. So, you want to go to break? You want me to go to break?
I'll take it as a break.
Who you want us to,
I'll take it as a break because I'll chill. You look better than your takes are, so that's how the game goes. Coming up, there's a new feud in the NFL. You look good today. Between Randy Moss and Jerry Rice. Our own wide receiver, Greg Jennings, if he ain't still hot at me, will help us pick whose side we're on. And that's next. Speak for yourself. Y'all hate me.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Jerry Rice, he's considered to be the GOAT of wide receivers, but not according to Randy Moss, that is. Moss went on Terrell Owens' podcast recently and said he's the best. T.O. is second, and Rice is, quote, probably 3rd or 4th. Moss added, quote, I'm talking about dominating the game and changing the game of football. I don't live on statistics, because if you live on statistics and live on championships, that's all political. Now, Rice clapped back. OG clapped back.
Okay.
With that response. Y'all take a listen.
It was not about me being the GOAT. I don't care if I'm the 1, the 2nd, or the 3rd receiver. It was all about me winning Super Bowls for the city of San Francisco, my teammates, and my family. I was able to win 3 Super Bowls. I was an MVP. I pretty much hold every record right now. You know, he continues to say it's political or whatever, but if Randy wants to be number 1, that's fine. There are so many GOATs. If T.O. wants to be number 2, that's fine. But my main thing is it was all about the ring.
Good to have Greg Jennings, a star receiver in his own right, all back with us. So, Greg, whose side are you on in the GOAT feud? Randy Moss or Jerry Rice?
You know, I love Jerry Rice, and at times I've always said Jerry Rice is the GOAT because of the statistics. However, I am on the side of Randy Moss.
Wow.
I swim in the waters with Randy Moss, and here's why. When you look at what Randy Moss did and what he chose not to do, and let's talk about what he chose, what he did not do. He didn't run across the middle, and people knocked him for that. People said, well, he doesn't go across the middle. Well, if I do something so great and you can't stop me from doing that and I put up these type of numbers that he has, then why would I even do something that I don't care to do? You haven't made me. You haven't forced my hand. He didn't have the kind of quarterback play that Jerry Rice had. All of these things come into play. His hands were better. Jerry Rice was the better route runner. He put up the best stats. We all know that. T.O., probably the most athletic. But what Randy Moss was able to do, it transcended the position. It literally, we talk about receivers to date saying, man, I mossed you. You got Moss. We don't say you got Rice. We don't say you got Owens. We don't say none of that. This is why when you look at the wide receiver position and you ask receivers across the league, we going to pay respect. Jerry Rice, yes, he paved the way. He started this. But Randy Moss, what he was able to do and what he did, come on, man. Come on, man. You can't. You can argue with it if you want to.
Don't worry, we will. We will.
Not a problem.
Greg, you said if I heard you correctly, you said you're swimming in the waters with Randy Moss. You're going to swim in those waters. Y'all both drowning in a terrible take.
Ooh.
Y'all are both drowning in a terrible take. Don't worry, though, G. I'm going to throw you a life raft. What I completely...
I don't need one.
You do right now. What I completely disdained about Randy Moss's take, and I said disdain because I had to let y'all at home look that one up. What I completely abhorred about Randy Moss's take is that he said this. He said, I don't live off statistics and championships. That's political. So, Randy Moss, let me get this straight. Greg Jennings, let me get this straight. If you are going to negate the two attributes which we have continually and historically used to dictate greatness, you're going to remove the two attributes which constitute greatness and say, I'm not worried about them two attributes. Outside of the two attributes which make you great, now let's talk about greats. Well, then that's just an irrelevant oxymoronic conversation. Randy Moss said this. Okay, I'm not going to talk about stats because I don't win with stats. I'm not going to talk about chips because I don't win with chips. But outside of that, now, Greg Jennings, can I talk to Greg? Can I look at Greg? Please, I want to look at my guy. He looks fresh. Let me look at my dog, Greg.
You ain't lying.
If y'all wanted to say which receiver has the greatest name turned verb, Randy Moss. Like, you got Moss, a phenomenal name, which is now turned into a verb. If you want to say that, I'd say Randy Moss. If you want to say which receiver has the greatest physique, Terrell Owens. Which receiver was the fastest and the tallest? Randy Moss. Which receiver had the most maybe big play? But that's not the question, Greg. Which receiver is the greatest of all time? Randy Moss, when he was, 35? Where was he at? Wasn't he out the league? Now, Moss is one of the greatest of all time. Let's make no mistake about it. Let's put things in context. Jerry Rice, 40 years old. What he have?
Tilton.
90 catches, like 1,200 yards.
Tilton.
I mean, like, let's look, Greg. I'm going to end it like this.
End it.
You got to be consistently good to be great. You got to be consistently great to be excellent. You got to be consistently excellent to be the GOAT. Jerry Rice, consistently, 15-plus years, excellent, greatest of all time.
And I understand all of that. And yes, he was consistently excellent. He did win the Super Bowls. He did have the Pro Bowls and the All-Pros. And he leads the league with all the statistical categories pretty much that you can ask for from the receiver position. But when you play this position and you look at what Jerry Rice did, you cannot dismiss what was around him. We do this with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. We say, well, if you put Aaron Rodgers over there with Tom Brady, with Bill Belichick, and give him what he had, then who's to say how many Aaron Rodgers would have? But we don't choose to do this with receivers. When you look at the quarterbacks that Randy Moss had, how many are in the Hall of Fame? With the exception of the year he had with Tom Brady, he will be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, that box is checked. When you look at Jerry Rice, how many quarterbacks did he play with that are Hall of Famers? His entire career was with Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I get it. Like, he still produced. His teams were better. His offenses were more well-rounded. He had the better opportunity. He capitalized on it, and he is phenomenal. But what Randy Moss brought to the table, no other receiver to date still does not bring that to the table. He changed the landscape of how we play this position.
Woo! Okay. I apologize in the beginning of this take because I'm off the rails today, as you can see by the outfit and it's by the words and my Cam Newton take. I'm going to be off the rails with this one as well. Neither one of them is the GOAT. Look, out of respect, out of reverence, I can say that Jerry Rice is the greatest of all time. But the best of all time, the GOAT, is neither one.
it's actually Terrell Owens. And I'm not going to sit up here and bore y'all with my argument, but as SFY's foremost authority on this topic, because I'm the only one on this television screen right now that played against Jerry Rice, that played against Randy Moss, and played against Terrell Owens. And I had defensive coordinators to support what I'm about to say because they're the ones that fed it to us first. Oh, that T.O. was hell on that football field. And I had some old-ass defensive coordinators that coached against Jerry Rice in his prime and obviously continued through Randy Moss and T.O.'s career. T.O., what we used to say is the hell begins once he catches the ball. Now, most of the time, you think the hell is to prevent him from catching the football. Oh, that's just the beginning of your job. The real work is once he caught the football, and T.O. used to go hard. But there aren't the numbers to support that. There isn't the argument to make that. But what Greg is suggesting and what I'm feeling from Greg is, in those wars, in those waters, who was the best? For me, my vote is Terrell Owens. That said, what we're witnessing right now is how we always go through our soap opera in sports. What we're witnessing right now is the argument that's age old. Barry Sanders versus Emmitt Smith. This is the remix of that. You know why? Because Emmitt Smith has the chips, and Emmitt Smith has the stats. But then if Barry Sanders had the mouthpiece like Randy Moss did, he would sit there and say, outside of chips and outside of stats, who's the better running back? Now, think about that conversation. You would look at it differently. That's the same thing happening here. Outside of the Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Outside of the chips, and Peyton Manning has some stats too, but outside of the chips and the stats, who was the better talent? Now, let's reset this conversation and have that. Who was the better talent of the three? I would like to hear you respond, Greg.
Let me respond first.
Get it.
Because here's the thing, y'all.
You ain't no receiver.
I'm not mad at Greg based on what he's saying. I'm not mad at you based on what y'all are saying. But neither of y'all are actually answering the question. If the question was, who was the greatest talent of all time, then I might say T.O. or I might say Calvin Johnson. If the question was, who was the most freakazoid receiver of all time, I might say Randy Moss. But fellas, can y'all please stay on task?
I can do that.
Who was the greatest? Sal, I'm not going to say...
That's not the question. The question is whose side
are you on in the GOAT conversation?
I'm with Randy Moss.
But Moss's argument is predicated upon removing statistics. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, Sal, who got the most expensive car, me or you? But let's not talk about price.
What? That's not the
That doesn't make sense.
That wasn't analogous, though.
It is.
That was not.
But Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time because of his championships. Some argue LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time, a la dudes like Nick Wright, because of LeBron James' stats. We either use championships or we use stats when we talk about greats. Serena Williams, we talk about her chips. Tiger Woods, we talk about chips and winning. But now you want to say, I'm going to remove championships and I'm going to remove stats and have a GOAT conversation. You took something that can be to a degree objective and have now made it exclusively subjective. So now we just gonna sit up here talking for no reason at all.
Well, you're good at that. We all are.
No, Acho, what we do is we don't just talk about championships. It has to be in the same position because if we look at the NBA, Bill Russell won more championships than Jordan, LeBron, and all. So, but we don't say Bill Russell is the GOAT because if it was all about championships, okay, that's a no-brainer. What we do is we take them by position, we measure them up, and then we start to see, okay, what makes them different because they all are great. So we start to see where one has the advantage. And you cannot talk statistics without talking how they were accomplished and without talking about who was involved. Like, that's the problem as a receiver that I have. Don't tell me I had 12 targets and I only got the opportunity to touch 2 balls because my quarterback didn't get it to me, but he threw it in the area. That's the difference. And people don't understand that element. It makes a huge difference. When Marcellus is talking about who is the best as far as all around, it's no question it's Terrell Owens. Like, he could do any and everything. If you want to break down categories, Randy Moss had the best pure hands and deep speed and explosive plays. You can throw Randy Moss and T.O. right there. Jerry Rice was the better route runner out of all of them. But as far as all around, who embodied all of that? in one body, that's T.O. And his stats support that. But it's all opinion-based. It's all about what we prefer as a receiver, as a outside linebacker, as a pass rusher, as a middle linebacker, as a viewer, as a fan. And so we can argue this back and forth, like Marcellus said, but it's all based on what we view and how we see the game.
Yeah, look, I love having an objective conversation. You know, I love me some nuggets, some numbers. And numbers don't lie, but they don't tell the entire story either. And that's what we're trying to have, the rest of the conversation, Acho. Don't be so damn simple and so lazy. You're the one. Barry Sanders is better than Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt Smith was a monster. But most people will go out there and say, hey, look at the championships. Look at the stats.
So is J.J. Watt better than Bruce Smith?
No, hell no.
Was Von Miller better than Bruce Smith?
No. But I'll ask you a question since you want to go all around in all sports. Kevin McHale, Dennis Rodman, better than Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. See what I'm saying here? You don't want to go there. That's this conversation. This is basically the same conversation. It's remixed all the times. Out of reverence, we're going to say, yeah, Jerry Rice. Just like out of respect to your uncle who ran track in high school when he ran yards and now we run meters and he was on dirt and we was on tartan. Like you say, yeah, respect to you. But in reality, man, as the foremost authority on this topic, as the only one who competed against all three, trust me, the boat is T.O. Coming up, Big Ben struggled last night. Now people are questioning his health. Ooh. We'll tell you if we're worried about the Steelers quarterback. That's next. Speak for yourself. You want to speak for yourself, Marcellus Wiley. Emmanuel Acho in the building. Don't look at myself like that. Let's get back to the Steelers. And Ben Roethlisberger had one of his worst games of the season. Last night's big upset loss to the Bengals, one of the worst in his career. The Steelers did not score in the first half, and Big Ben was held to under 200 passing yards with 2 turnovers. Steelers quarterback missed most of last season with an elbow injury, and his health status was brought up after the Steelers' 3rd straight loss. Take a listen.
Do you right now, in the month of December, truly feel 100% in your arm?
Well, I don't think anybody that plays this game at any level, in any position, I should say, whether it's week 1 or week 16, feels 100%. So, no, I would say that I don't feel 100%, but nobody does right now.
Greg is here, but Acho, worried about Big Ben?
I'm absolutely worried about Big Ben because he's 1,000% right. Over the course of the season, deterioration kicks in. Players begin to fatigue. Players begin to tire. Quarterbacks begin to fatigue. But I'll say it like this. Young quarterbacks, they decline incrementally. Old quarterbacks, they decline exponentially. And Big Ben is an older quarterback, and we're seeing this decline exponentially. You could simply listen to me, or you could look at it for yourself. When I talk about Ben Roethlisberger, weeks 1 through weeks 10, 9-0, that was a Steelers record. Completion percentage, 66.8. Passing touchdowns to interceptions, 22-4. Well, now you look, last 5 games, 2-3. Completion percentage down. Passing touchdowns to interceptions, 8-6. And then that last stat, his passer rating has dipped by about 30 points over that span. Again, a younger quarterback, he would grow fatigued as well. But quarterbacks in other positions, if you are younger, you decline incrementally. Ben Roethlisberger, with his old age, we're seeing him decline exponentially. And that is exactly why I am definitely worried about Big Ben right now.
Interesting there. I'm not worried about Big Ben. I'm not worried about the Steelers, as I talked about earlier in the show. Ain't worried about nothing. I'm not worried. You know why I'm not worried? Because I see a situation where the Steelers can fix what their ills are. What I talked about earlier, which will help Big Ben, even if he is feeling some of the issues from that surgery of last year, some of the fatigue, or the fact that he doesn't have the same level of strength that he normally has at this part of the season. Whatever that conversation internally he's having, there's still a fix for it, which is the short dink and dunk game that got them to that 11-0 record. They've gotten away from that of late. Trying to throw the ball, we saw it last night, throwing the ball deep. I talked about the stat before, 0-7 in the first half with 10 or more air yards. That's not their game this year. Their game is the dink and dunk game, to the point where why you don't see the astronomical numbers by their receiving core, even though that receiving core is very talented. So in short, I think you can fix these issues. But to talk about what Big Ben is trying to suggest, but also not suggest, is that question he was asked about how do you feel, Big Ben? And Big Ben, it's interesting. He's like most people out there. The number one thing that people hate to ask for is help. And Big Ben doesn't want to ask for help. He certainly doesn't want to wave the white flag and say, hey, you know what, guys, I don't have it all right now. But as a guy who was injury prone, the reason I fell off the little mountain I climbed up was because of injuries. And I come to the realization of what happens when you're injured or injury prone. When you have surgery, it's to fix you to become you again. But the off seasons that you don't have surgery, you can now improve you to become a better version of what you were. See the difference? Big Ben just, with the surgery to his elbow, returned back to Big Ben with the same age and the birth certificate Acho talked about. But without that hiccup, without that surgery, Big Ben would have been allowed the opportunity to grow. What you're witnessing now is the deep exhaustion and fatigue that comes from when you don't get a chance to prepare fully and grow. That's as simple as that. How do you fix it? Throw the ball shorter, let your playmakers make the plays, and then you guys can roll forward.
Yeah, but the problem yesterday, he couldn't even throw the ball short, Marcel.
Yeah.
So all of that missed me.
One game.
He couldn't do that.
One game.
I'm talking their first 8 possessions last night, like 7 3-and-outs. Like you can't win like that. And this has been a trend that is starting to look too common for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've defended them because of their time of possession, because of their defense being so stout, because of them getting the ball back to their offense. But what wears down your defense more than even the opponent's offense is when your offense doesn't hold on to the ball, when your offense can't sustain drives. And large part of that is because of the play of Ben Roethlisberger. Look, I watched that entire game last night, and watching his disposition, watching the way he approached throwing the ball down the field, he didn't want to. And that tells me when he answers this question that the reporter asked, well, he didn't even answer the question.
Nope.
He dodged it.
Yep.
Do you trust your arm right now? He does not trust his arm. He's talking about what everybody, and Acho alluded to it, that everybody in this National Football League over the course of 15, 16, 17 weeks, yes, body grows through wear and tear, but we find a way. And at the quarterback position, when you're this late in your career, when you have this amount of knowledge and savvy, or you're supposed to, he hasn't rise to the occasion. We know they can't run the ball. Okay, you're supposed to dink and dunk. You didn't do that. You stared down your receivers. He played as though he was a first or second year quarterback in the National Football League last night. That is worrisome. That is worrisome not only to me, it's worrisome to Mike Tomlin. And he said it. We can't play like that. And it starts with number 7. He was horrible last night, specifically in that first half.
My dog, Greg, has some good takes today, Greg. I like when you dress up for the show. Your takes match your outfits. I respect it, Greg. Last week came here in a T-shirt. Let me get back to the point, though. I'm worried, Marcellus, mainly because of this, and I'll put it in my own experience. I was walking through the mall last week with a mask on, but now that I've hit 30, I've walked to some different facial stores, and I bought some anti-aging cream. I had to get some under-eye cream waking up for these shows.
I thought black don't crack.
You know, he can crack at times. So I had to get some anti-aging cream, Sal, because as I'm getting older, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I look like Idris Elba as I age. So I'm trying to make sure I do that.
You don't look like him now, so how you gonna look like him later?
So chill out. I'm trying to make sure I do that. Trying to be on the cover of People magazine next year.
You ugly.
People's Sexiest Man Alive. I'm trying to be on the cover.
You really?
I really am. Let's
don't do it.
Focus on the task at hand. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. What is the anti-aging ointment, if you will, of elderly quarterbacks? A number 1 receiver. See, as I went to find my own anti-aging cream, what's the anti-aging cream, if you will, of aging quarterbacks? A number 1 receiver. Tom Brady, he has his Mike Evans. Aaron Rodgers, he has his Devontae Adams. Drew Brees, he has his Michael Thomas. But Big Ben, who does he have? So there's no way to slow down this aging process, if you will, if you're not going to give him some anti-aging help, which is that star receiver. Juju ain't that. He dancing. DeAndre Johnson ain't that. He can't catch. And Chase Claypool, they don't feature him.
Yeah,
that is where the problem lies.
Love that take as well. But y'all got to know who y'all talking about. Like, I don't know how your fathers, the men in your life, how they taught you guys that rearing process, but I know that I had a father who would keep a lot of things to himself. So I'm looking at Big Ben over his career and knowing him personally and seeing him how he's played out through his career. He has a warrior mentality. He has a warrior game until he got older. He has a Big Ben put it all on my shoulders. I can handle it, right? But he runs in the emotional extremes. Be real. Big Ben either wants it all, I could tackle it all, I could do it all. Or he's like, should I let this go? Should I retire? Like, there's nothing in between. So Big Ben's not going to cry out for help. But I'm here to help you, Big Ben, because I just came to a realization that the threshold for you is 2.5 seconds. Listen to me carefully, Big Ben. Here's your threshold. When you're under 2.5 seconds in delivering the football, 70% completion percentage. Over it, 50. 25-6 touchdown interceptions. Over it, 5-4. That's not as good. 99 quarterback rating, basically 100, or 69 when over 2.5 seconds. Get the ball out your hand. If you're hurting, don't be the one holding the pain. Let it go. You got the receivers to take this thing forward. Coming up, Kevin Durant is back tonight. Woo-hoo-hoo. We'll tell you if we're buying stock in the new look Nets. That's next. Best player on the planet. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The NBA is back tonight with the Warriors and Nets getting things started. That means Kevin Durant is also back after missing over a year with the torn Achilles. KD says tonight's game against his former team is not more important than other games, but all eyes will still be on the new look Nets with KD, Kyrie, and head coach Steve Nash. Guess we're over the racism debate. Joined by Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick with Marcellus. You up
Happens
first.
fast, doesn't it?
Are you buying stock in these Nets?
Yes, I am buying stock. I'm on the mirror trade right now. Is that where you go to buy stock? And log it in, and I'm like, oh, access granted. And I'm looking at where in the Eastern Conference I should buy some stock. And look at those Brooklyn Nets, because KD's back. Shout out to KD and Ice Cube. KD, baby! For all y'all old West Coast hip-hop heads out there. KD has been to the conference finals, when healthy, the last 5 seasons and 7 of the last 8 seasons. That's 88%, y'all. 88% of the times KD's going to start the regular season and you can almost book it. He's going to be in the conference finals. And in the Eastern Conference, that doesn't look as strong as the Western Conference. Hell yeah, I'm going there. Now, let's talk about that coaching staff. You brought up the coach. And let's talk about first-year head coaches. How did it fare for the first-year head coach, Nick Nurse, in Toronto? What about the Cleveland Cavaliers and their first-year head coach when Tyronn Lue was there? What about the Golden State Warriors when they had Steve Kerr? What about going way back to Pat Riley? So first-year head coaches can still succeed at the highest level. I'm killing you, Slick, right now. I can see it in your face. And if you don't just love KD like I love KD, who I think, when healthy, is the best player in the NBA. As Steve Kerr even said, watching him play in the preseason, I couldn't tell the difference between him the other night and 18 months ago pre-injury. You got to love Kyrie Irving if you don't love you some KD. Kyrie Irving, one of the 6 players in the last 4 years to average over 24 points a game and 6 assists. Only 6 in the entire NBA. James Harden, he good. Damian Lillard, he good. Russell Westbrook, he good. LeBron, Steph Curry, and Kyrie. You got a problem with that? You got a problem with me because I can see them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Sal, I'm going to hit you with 2 quick jabs, and then I'm going to tag Slick Rick in to come in here and hopefully give you a finishing punch. First, let me talk about Kyrie, because it's a 2-man team. Let me talk about one that is Kyrie. 2018, Kyrie goes to the Celtics, and we're like, okay, Kyrie, let's see what you about to do without Bron. We know what you and Bron accomplished together, but now it's time for you to be Batman, not Robin. But when Kyrie gets hurt in 2018, the Celtics still advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, but now 2019, now the Celtics got Kyrie back. He healthy. Let's see what he gonna do. But then Kyrie plays in the playoffs and the Celtics lose in the Eastern Conference semis. Okay, Kyrie, go on to Brooklyn. Go on to the Nets. Surely the Celtics will be worse without you. But wait, then the Celtics go back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Wait a second, Marcellus. how were the Nets actually worse last year record-wise with Kyrie than without Kyrie? I'm no mathematician. I did not go to Columbia. I promise you that. I didn't get accepted. I didn't apply. But it's really very simple to say, wait a second, all these teams, at least within the last 3 to 4 years, had better team success without Kyrie than they did with Kyrie. Now, if we're talking about KD, Sal, again, I'm not going to go into the nuances of KD. He's a Texas alum. He didn't graduate, but he went there. So I'm not going to go in too hard on KD, but all I'm going to say is this.
You can't say much.
KD, when he had Steph, you saw what happened.
Oh, don't do that.
But
without Steph.
KD, when he didn't, it's not like he was overcoming LeBron James. And if I'm talking about buying stock, I'm trying to buy stock in someone who's going to win a chip. I'm not buying stock in these Brooklyn Nets because, sir, they just not going to win a chip.
Stop. Weak.
Acho, thank you for leaving me a little bit. Marcellus, you're wearing a suit that is made for hunting Easter eggs, not cherry picking. And yet that is exactly what you did.
Damn!
That coaching thing was really inspired, man.
Hey,
I love that. That first-year coach thing about kind of ignoring the fact that they all walked into already made teams. It was good. I liked it.
What?
No, I'm not buying. I am not buying stock in the Nets. And it's not that it's not good stock. It's that it's overvalued stock. I don't know if you guys were aware, but 2019 was terrible for IPOs. And Uber was the #1 example. And it's not that Uber didn't do well when it went public. It just didn't do as well as expected. And Marcellus, you set the bar, winning the East. And I look at what the Nets are at this point with a brand new coach and basically a rebuilt team. And when you talk about all the times that KD went, he went to the conference finals all those times, 88%. But ultimately, did he do it with leadership around him other than with Kyrie? So that is where ultimately I asked the question, was that all KD? And are these circumstances exactly the same as the last time that he went to the conference finals? They're not. So do I think they're going to be good? Yes. Do I think they're going to live up to expectations? KD and Kyrie, the artiste, are the two best closers in the Eastern Conference. But as we know, if you're going to win the conference, you need to have more than just that.
Oh, my dog Slick. I'm so glad you came with a fire take, Slick, because you're exactly right. What it comes down to is very simple, Marcellus. First off, who is Kyrie without LeBron? Let's make that abundantly and unequivocally clear.
A puppy.
He was a puppy. Who is it? No, sir. Because you have a 70% winning percentage with LeBron. You got a 35% winning percentage before LeBron shows up, and you got a 58% winning percentage after you leave LeBron. So, let's put in context who exactly this man Kyrie is. Thank you. And then to Slick's point, it's like you got to remember, in sports at all times, things go bad. Things don't always go as you plan, in game, in season, out of season, whatever the case may be. Who do you have from a team standpoint that's going to rally the troops? Kyrie. Is Kyrie the player that you expect to galvanize the team? KD? Is KD the player that you expect to galvanize the team? Kyrie self-admittedly got burner accounts. Kyrie self-admittedly still think the world is flat. So I'm just not sure that I'm going to look to these two elite basketball players to be elite leaders when you know firsthand it has more to do with how well you can dribble, how well you can shoot, how well you can get a bucket if you can get a chip.
I didn't know you were a Hall of Fame voter in the NFL because you sound like the same damn old school curmudgeons who kept T.O. first ballot off, second ballot off, had to be a third ballot Hall of Famer despite having top 3 numbers all time. You know why? Because you start going into off the field behavior and you start going into things you just don't like. Oh, he believes this world is flat earth. You know what? He can't play basketball. When the hell do you get those two things and marry them?
Behavior
that makes no
is
sense.
An indicator of on-field success.
I don't know how many Hall of Famers you played with. Trust me, if the Hall of Fame was based on how they acted, it'd be empty up in that sucker. These dudes are different. And here's the thing. I don't mind
mind if Kyrie is not likable. I don't mind if Kyrie is different. But I'm not going to let you slander his game when he steps on that court. Oh, he's an animal. Here's the thing. Let me say this.
Say it.
It won't be all on KD like it's never on anybody. LeBron, has it been all on LeBron and he's won a championship? I'll wait.
2016.
I'll wait.
2016.
I'll wait.
2016.
When?
2016.
2016 wasn't
Came
all
back
on.
down 3-1.
Who hit the shot?
Down 3-1.
Who hit the shot?
Who got him
got
there?
quiet. It got quiet. It's the
Who
point.
got him there?
There's never about just one basketball player saying, I'm going to bring all the, even Dirk Nowitzki had to go look around and say, like, Jason Kidd in the building. Jason Terry in the building.
Kid was 37.
Hey, still out there diming it up out there. So here's the thing. When you look at Acho's points, he's trying to bring up Kyrie with the Celtics. The same Celtics that underachieved even when they had a big three going back to yesteryear. Oh, the same Celtics that didn't win
Different
jack.
coach. Flick, I won't stand for this.
Before Kyrie got there, did they win?
Flick, I won't stand for
With
this.
Kyrie, did
I'm with you, Marcel.
After Kyrie,
So where are we going?
That's my point. So all that said, book it. Heat, Nets, Eastern Conference Finals. Coming up, the Steelers and Browns are trending in
I'm going on
different
the
directions.
herd.
In the AFC North. Oh, you going to wait a while? We'll tell you if Cleveland is the top dog in the division. That's next. Speak for yourself. Ledry Shamit, Joe. Welcome back. The Steelers were a huge favorite to win the AFC North, but that changed dramatically after their upset loss to the Bengals last night. According to Fox Bet Sportsbook, Pittsburgh has now lost 3 straight, while the Browns are rolling with only 1 loss in their last 6 games. So, Acho, Browns, best team in the AFC North?
Yeah, the Browns are absolutely the best team in the AFC North right now.
Can I do what you just did to me? Walk off set?
Right now.
Right now?
Marcellus, what
Right,
did you tell
never.
me 2 weeks ago? In football, you're either getting better or you're getting what, sir?
Worse.
But you're never staying the same. The Cleveland Browns, what have they won? 5 of their last 6 games. The Pittsburgh Steelers have lost their last 3 games. It's oftentimes hard to quantify how much better or how much worse a team is playing unless you play the same opponent within, 6 or so weeks, like the Steelers did.
6 or so weeks.
Steelers
Cooking books.
Steelers beat the Bengals by 26 points just 6 games ago, and then you lose to the Bengals by 10 points just yesterday. So, Sal, if in fact
Bengals.
what you said was true, and in football you're either getting better or you're getting worse, and the Cleveland Browns are obviously getting better, won 5 of their last 6.
Oh, really?
The Pittsburgh Steelers are obviously and self-admittedly getting worse. Y'all had heard head coach Mike Tomlin. Then I'm not too convinced this is much of a debate. Like, I'm more so telling you the truth more than I am debating and dialoguing with you. But I'm going to end you first lap. Real quick, like this. Let's talk about the December to remember that Baker Mayfield and this Cleveland Browns offense is having versus this Steelers offense.
Since it rhymes don't mean it's right or good.
You're going to see. Total offense since December 1st. Browns are second. Oh, Steelers, does that say 29th? Scoring offense since December 1st. Browns are third. Oh, does that say 27th, Marcellus? Third down percentage, money down. Browns are first. Oh, does that say 31st for the Steelers? Sal, they're like 2 trains passing in the night, except the Browns are headed in the right direction.
Oh, my God. The Browns are not best team in this division. Not even the second best team in this division. It's the Ravens or the Steelers, and you do the math right there. Did the Ravens play the Browns recently?
They did.
How'd that go?
They won by 3, really.
No, how'd that go? Win or loss?
Lost.
Oh, they lost? Oh, okay. So if you just lost to a team in the division that is only, 1 game behind in the win column, then I don't think that you're better than that team. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Marcellus. Do your homework. Did they play twice this year? Have they beat them either time? They got better. They progressed. They closed the gap. But they can't even beat Baltimore. And Baltimore right now is on the outside looking in. Guess what? Cleveland doesn't win out. Things could happen. They may not even be in. No way. You're in a division where you haven't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. You haven't beat the Baltimore Ravens, but you're sitting there saying the threshold, what we're going to use as our objective measure, are the Cincinnati Bengals and how you fared against them. You played them twice and you won by a combined 8 points. That's not good, and especially when you can't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Ravens. To me, it's simple. I'm really waiting for you to give me a better argument in terms of saying why this team is the best team in this division. They're looking good right now. They're hotter than any other team. I don't know. Maybe the Ravens are hotter. The Ravens just won against Jacksonville 40-14. Just beat Cleveland the week before that. So I can make my argument stronger by just saying the Ravens simply What can you say?
Here's your problem. The problem, because you've accomplished so much in your life, I think that you've now gotten lazy and you always go for low-hanging fruit. It's
like wins and losses? Yeah, you're right.
No, you just you went to Columbia, played in the NFL, 3 big contracts, all pro Bowls, top 100 player 3 or so times. Because you've accomplished so much, you've gotten lazy later on in life.
I'm just bigger than I was then. Don't say I'm lazy.
I just do a little bit more work than you, so let me do a little bit more work right here, right now, Sel. Here's how I'm gonna do it. You're saying that the Steelers could beat the Browns. Sure, they can.
They're gonna play
You're
each other,
saying that the Ravens can beat the Steelers.
No, they just beat.
Sure, they can.
Okay.
But this is who is the best team in the AFC North. Well, if you're talking about
just played 2 weeks ago.
in the
I told you that.
in the AFC, if you're going to win in the AFC, you have to score points. You know that, correct?
In the AFC?
Yes.
Yeah, all the
Chiefs lead the league.
Yeah.
Bills are second in the league. And you got to score points. The Steelers can't score points. So I'm not going to sit here and debate the low-hanging fruit of the linear matchup, who's better between the Steelers or the Browns. That's not what I'm saying. Who would win that matchup? I'm saying if you want to look macro, who is the better team? Based on playing a rung of teams, different opponents, who is the better team? It's the Browns.
You know in tiebreaker situations, you can't skip ahead. The first one is head-to-head.
Oh, this ain't a tiebreaker that I'm in the race.
Hold on. If you were having to break the tie of our argument, guess what you would go to? Head to head.
Not a tie. It's not a tie.
All I gotta say is your team has a negative point differential. And looking at my list right now of teams with a negative point differential, it doesn't fare well for you in the playoffs if history is correct. So good luck being the best team in your division if you're gonna be one and done in the playoffs. Coming up, Tom Brady is the GOAT, but he's not a Pro Bowler this year? We'll tell you if he got snubbed. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Tom Brady has made the Pro Bowl 14 times, but he will not be adding to that number this year. Brady missed the cut yesterday when Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray were all named Pro Bowlers in the NFC. Now, Brady has the second most passing yards and third most touchdown passes in the NFC this year. So, Marcellus, did Tom Brady get snubbed?
Yeah, he got snubbed. Look, in today's society, look at how I'm talking right now, like a fast lawyer. All right, he got snubbed. You know why he got snubbed? Because of all the noise that goes around in this society today. When you become successful, uberly successful, the first thing you should realize is the hate is coming. They are building a snowball right now for Emmanuel Acho to throw at you because you're so successful. 2020's been tremendous for you. Isn't it funny how when COVID hits, respect to all those who've been affected, but everyone thinks that it's been negative for everybody. But some people have been thriving, some industries, some sectors, Acho, etc. Tom Brady understands that. He knows this is the snowball back to my face. For all the envy and resentment that everyone has for him, those damn lazy-ass players who sit there in Pro Bowl voting meetings, we've been there. When we don't know, we haven't watched anybody.
Just be like,
you know why?
This is what I heard.
Because all we watch as players are the teams we're going to face. So that's lazy by the players. Lazy by the fans because they can't separate the signal from the noise. Oh, I heard Tom Brady and Bruce Arians don't like each other. He must not be having a good year. And then the coaches get into it too because Tom Brady done sunned every coach in this league, 6 Super Bowl championships. Oh, well, this is an opportunity to give the young upstart Kyler Murray his opportunity. It's not. When you are tied for third in your conference in wins, and all you have to do is be top 3 to be a Pro Bowler, when you are third in touchdowns with 32 in your conference, you should be a Pro Bowler. But more importantly, why should Tom Brady be a Pro Bowler? Because he won the league MVP with virtually the same numbers in 2017. Acho, he had 32 touchdowns and won the league MVP. Now he can't even be top 3 in his conference? Senseless.
I like your take. Not a lot wrong with it, but just a little bit. First off, richest man in the 1930s, there's value of inflation. So the richest man in the 1930s won't be the richest man today because of inflation. So don't compare Tom Brady's numbers when he won the MVP a few years ago to Tom Brady's numbers now because of inflation. But I like your take too much to go back at your take. All I'm going to do is I'm going to say my own take. He didn't get snubbed because we know he didn't get snubbed for Aaron Rodgers. We know that.
Nope.
We, for the most part, will say he didn't get snubbed for Russell Wilson.
No.
I think that's safe. Yep. So he got snubbed for Kyler Murray. I woke up this morning, I was on your side. I was like, yeah, Tom Brady got snubbed. How dare y'all? I did my homework. And I said, wait a second. The job of a quarterback isn't just to pass the balls, to contribute to his offense's yardage and the offense's output. Well, Kyler Murray has 4,300 total yards, and Tom Brady only has 3,900 total yards. Kyler Murray contributes 76% of the Cardinals offense, and Tom Brady contributes 74. You can call it 75 if you dare round up percent of the Bucs offense. Kyler Murray has more total touchdowns than Tom Brady. They have the same amount of interceptions. So I wanted to take your take. I wanted to have outrage. But then I realized it was just going to be fake outrage, and I got to give a real take, and the real take says Tom Brady ain't get snubbed.
Wow. Okay. Inflation. I got to push back on that. Okay. Peyton Manning had 50-plus touchdowns twice. Is he still playing? No. Tom Brady's also done that as well. Is he still playing? Yes. The point is, inflation, I don't know. Anybody else getting 50? Patrick Mahomes, that's it. I don't know anybody else. So I don't know about the inflation argument. Let me push back on this also. You should have trusted your feelings when you woke up this morning, because you were right. You know that they have proven that your intuition is 6 million times faster in response than your cognitive thought. What does that mean? When you walk somewhere, hey, I feel something weird. Then you be like, yo, something is... You know what you should have did? When you felt it, you should have accepted it. You didn't trust your own feelings on this situation. Tom Brady got snubbed because Tom Brady, he has it all. Coming up, Uncle Jimmy has a conspiracy theory on Mike Tomlin. He's one with that Pro Bowl snubbing. I can't wait to hear what he got to say as he looking like Tomlin right there. That's next. Before we go, the Steelers were upset by the Bengals last night, and it sparked a conspiracy theory for Uncle Jimmy on Mike Tomlin. Take it away, Uncle.
First of all, Mike Tomlin's real name is Omar Epps, meaning he really didn't die after getting shot by Remy in that movie Higher Learning. Because shortly after that, Mike Tomlin miraculously appeared on the scene. It was kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they changed Aunt Phoebs.
Okay?
Hey, man, Mike Tomlin is not a great coach. He's just a good actor. They asked him during the press conference last night. They asked him about the pressure being applied by the Cincinnati defense. And Mike Tomlin replied, and I quote, "Pressure can make a monkey eat fire, and sometimes can make him swear he like it. It's just part of the game." Hey, it comes a time in every man's life that every bathtub has to stand on its own belly. We've reached the point as a team that the rubber has finally met the road. I told my team last night that nothing can come to a sleeper but a dream. But when we wake up, we're going to feel like the Cincinnati Bengals with knocks on our heads as quick as we can run. Next question.
He knows how to gesture to punch his point. He'd be like, that's all I got to say. What y'all got to say? Fox Men Live is next.